Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another exciting episode of In My Element with Neil, and I'm your co-host Turk. And Neil will be joining us shortly. I hear her singing in the background. So while she's still worshiping, we'll start getting it cracking this morning. Today is Wisdom Wednesday. We have a guest that'll be on the show today. We ask that everyone come on YouTube instead of Facebook. We trying to get the numbers to go up. So good morning, I'm Karen Dickerson. Tia be with us in a minute. I guess I'd say about 20 times. I don't have as much to say as Neela does. She'll kill all of the dead air when she get here. But we're about to get started. Today I'm going to be talking about the true story of Uncle Tom. How the derogatory term Uncle Tom started, but how it was never corrected. So we'll talk about that today. We're gonna go into some Black history since it's Black History Month. You know they were gonna put it in February because it's the least amount of days. You know they short us at every turn, whenever they can on anything, short them. But we always come out on top, smiling, looking just as beautiful as we are. And we're going to get through all of this mess. We might not see it in our lifetime, y'all, but it's coming. It's inevitable, in God's time. Everybody will learn from each other's mistakes eventually, or either they'll destroy the world, one of the two, because they can't live without us, and we can't live without them, because we all the same. We all just human. So we'll go into a few things today, and like I say, we got a guest today. Lisa Chianci of Cross Bull Ranch is going to be here, and we'll be talking to her about the Taino Indians and Puerto Rico, and where the Taino Indians come from, and the Maroons that were indigenous to the islands. The Taino Indians were forced off of the lands here in the United States. We're gonna go in detail about it, where they come from, where they got pushed to, how their blood got mixed, whose blood was mixed with it, and we're all of that. And then we're going to talk about permaculture. Since it's Wisdom Wednesday, we're going to talk about how we can survive, even if you in the city and have very little space. We'll talk about how you can have a garden. We'll talk about rooftop gardens. We'll talk about patio gardens. We'll talk about food forces in your front yard and backyard. So Lisa is the one that opened my eyes about the what, T? Because we both got all the same. I look, T, I don't even.
Hold on.
It's crazy.
Lisa's gonna be talking about a lot of stuff especially when it comes to life in the midst of living. And thank you that was a great introduction, Turk.
Oh, thank you.
About dead air. You know how to manage dead air, boy. Look, he a dead air professional. Look, dead air managing professional. Look, check it out. The good thing about it is that let me take these things off because they're gonna end up going out in a minute. The good thing about it is that me and Turk don't even talk to each other sometimes. Well, we talked to each other a little bit yesterday, but we talked to each other about something. Actually about what was the conversation today. And because the double chat that they had, I missed a lot of that double chat. But Lisa called him anyway, so that was cool. Because I'll be totally moving. I don't sit down, y'all. I don't really rest at all until it's nighttime. But me and Turk, I was getting to the point of the fact that me and Turk don't even talk to each other a lot of times about things, but especially about our dress. So here I am with my shirt on. And he got his blue shirt on. Just the other day, he had his red on. We have our red on.
Gee, it's been about 4 or 5 days in a row that we done had the same color on and wasn't playing.
You muted or something, Turk. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. You can't hear me?
Oh, you know what? It's these darn things.
No sound from you. Good morning, Sabrina.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, cool. It's these. I got to keep these darn things on. Hold on, everybody. Let me get my cap because I didn't want to keep these things on. I didn't know the cotton picking on.
Well, anyway, it should be a very interesting show today.
It's definitely that's
and
what it should be.
We had a good show yesterday as well. And we just want to remind everyone that we're having a contest this month. If you're not a subscriber of In My Element with Neela, then you can come on, like and subscribe, and sing a verse from Lift Every Voice and Sing, and you can have a chance at winning $100. We do have some vocalists and musicians that are going to be the judges. So time is running out. You only have this month to get it in. At the end of the month, on the last Friday of the month, we'll have the announcement. We'll actually have the judges come on and judge the people singing. I guess Tia had to go in and pull up the people that sing Lift Every Voice from each episode, and then we'll replay them, and then we'll judge and make a decision. Now, if you're already a elementer, come on and take a crack at singing Lift Every Voice for $50. So
big money.
We just want to hear your voices, and it ain't about who can sing the best. Not for the elementers. We just want to hear everybody sing. Whether you can sing like Luther Vandross, or if you sing like me and T, we could carry a tune, but it ain't like we gonna be singing no bunch of solos or nothing. So
it's like
it's just about having fun.
But it's also, hold on, Turk. It's also about keeping it in alignment with what's happening this month, which is Black History Month. And so we're bringing into awareness. A lot of people are not even aware of the Black Anthem.
I was surprised.
And or either you just now hearing of it like 4, 5, 6 years ago, like Alicia was saying, and I was really shocked. I'm like, what? But then again, where she's living, North Carolina, it ain't South.
Jacksonville, North Carolina. How many people heard of that?
It's very, as they would say, redneckish, and so teaching people of brown skin their history and allowing them to have a culture is something that they tried to do away with many, many years ago. We had to regroup, and so in saying that, it's states like North Carolina, probably South Carolina too, and a few other states out there, some Bamas and Sauls, Arkansas and Alabamas and stuff like that, Mississippi's and stuff, Tennessee.
In Chicago and
Right,
Ohio and New
and I'm gonna
York
be
and
honest with you, we not
California.
the South, we the Central.
It's
But it's
engraved into the
racism
fabric of
everywhere
this
you
country.
go. Yeah, it's just racism everywhere you go, and it has been a division of people trying to divide people for centuries, and it continues on. And a lot of people say, well, I don't see that. You guys are... No, you're not living in my skin. Thank you very much. Until you do, until you've lived in my skin, then you can say what you don't see or what we have not experienced. Because I still experience it to this day. We experience it with calling the police about certain crimes. Well, my thing was broken into. My garage was broken into. And I call the police. They don't even come out. You're like, you know, they take stuff over the phone. It's like, well, what about fingerprints? You know, I'm like, so
they don't care.
Unless you say, hey, look, I want somebody to come and dust fingerprints. This was a crime. You know, unless you're living in Oak Brook Terrace or something like that, they don't come out. You know, it amazes me.
Oh, so it's according to what part of the city you in. If you in Bridgeport or if you over there in Westport over there, off of Kedzie and stuff like that. But south, Mount Greenwood, all of that, plenty of police protection. Beverly, plenty of police protection.
Yeah, and a lot of them live there. But the point I'm making is that there's still a lot of discrimination across the board, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. I'm moving into a different direction again with my work. I'm going back again into the training section. And I asked them, because the people who were with us last round are no longer with us, who were team leads. So I asked the director yesterday, I had a good conversation with him. I said, so since there's no more team leads, no more leads, those people aren't with the company and they aren't coming back. Are there positions for a person like me who has 6 years of experience at doing this to move up into a position like that, where it also allows me to earn extra money, more money than what I'm earning? Well, he said, well, yeah, we had 3 positions, but they're filled. I said, well, they're filled. I said, who's filling them? And he named off 3 males. Jose Miranda's, he's a Hispanic, but the other 2, white males. And I said, wow, you couldn't find any females, huh, to fulfill any of those positions. I know that took him by storm. This was just yesterday, y'all. I know that took him by storm. I was like, wow, you ain't telling me you couldn't find no females to do any of that? I said, and I got 6 years experience. I come from the project with Deloitte. You know, he was like, wow, I didn't know that. But you didn't ask. You weren't thinking.
And it's obvious he didn't tell you that he was going to hire 3 new positions either.
Right. And it's obvious he didn't want to know, because if he did, he should have first came to the ones who've been with you.
It's usually done by seniority.
And here's the killer part. Here's the killer part. It's seniority and experience too, though, Rand Turk.
Yeah.
So you got to have the experience of what you.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The killer part.
But if you
filled 3 positions, and but you're new to the damn position. You're new to the director position. We were here before you, and you didn't even look back to the people who've been here. And I'm one of them. Ryan Seavy's another, and another brother. You know, I'm like, real? Wow. So I know who I'm dealing with. Oh, I know who I'm dealing with, y'all. So when you know who you're dealing with, when people show you who they are, know who they are, and know they ain't gonna change. Not in the middle of this game. And so I know I'm just gonna do what I'm supposed to do, and that's that. And that's how you have to be, because corporate America don't give a rat's. And you heard me. Corporate America don't give a rat's. And you can add the rest to it about you. The way they're developing and contouring their how can I say, their levels within the corporation, where, you know, or your management, by management, and so forth. The way they're constructing that they're making it where a lot of those other jobs they gave you, if it wasn't nothing but $2 or $3 increase per hour, a lot of those jobs are now being lateral moves. Dig the move. Lateral moves. You're doing a little different work, but it's a lateral move. It's the same pay. But the cost of living is increasing, everybody. The cost of living to live, the grocery store and all that is increasing. But the lateral pay is there. So I ain't here to talk about that right now. I just had to throw that out there. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. Good morning, Danetta, Bonnie. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, Alicia. Divine Designs by Alicia. Bonnie is here. Kimberly Mixon Dixon. We got Yvette, Alma, Edith. We got Karen Dickerson. We got everybody up in here this morning. We got
Bonnie say
Rosalind,
she gonna sing.
Sabrina. And we got Alma. So, ladies, Kimberly Karen Dickerson is in the house. So, Yvette, all of y'all, thank you so much for joining us. Let me go into prayer real quick, and then we can bring Lisa on to the show. I just want to say this. I want Marjorie, everybody, to focus on Marjorie because she went in for surgery this morning for her knee. We just pray that the healing hands, the hands of correction, are placed upon her leg, and to do what needs to be done to secure her knee and to allow her mobility again in that leg. So we just know that God has His hands on the doctor or the person who's performing the operation, and all is well. But let's go into prayer. Everybody, let's inhale from the baseline of our stomachs and hold it a quick 10-second count. Meditate and exhale, and then we go into prayer. Shall we start? Hold it. Exhale. Heavenly Father, thank you for another brand new day. Hallelujah. Lord, we're forever grateful that you gave us life and you woke us up this morning, allowing us to have another chance and opportunity at growth exponentially. Lord, we just pray for all those who wanted to be here this morning who are not here. We pray for whatever movement that they're making right now that is safe and secure and sound. And we just pray that they're protected in whatever they're doing. Lord, we want to bring Marjorie Broadnax into view right now. And we just pray that and speak life and healing over her and progress through the hands of the doctor that is working on her today, operating on her, Lord. And we just pray for healing, for full, complete healing and mobility for that knee. Lord, we also want to just say thank you for life. Thank you for the breath that has been breathed into us that allow us to breathe. And I speak light and love over everyone this morning, entire world of people. And I speak deliverance for those who have been living in darkness and hiding and harming others and just doing things that are just not right. Lord, I pray for all of the leaders of the world today because they are in charge and we are a part of that, them being in charge, and what they do affects us all. So we just pray for them that someone touches their mind and their mind is in the right place and their heart is in the right place. And it is not just about them and their family, but it's about the entire world and those that they govern. So we pray for them as well, Heavenly Father. And we ask that you lift them and allow them to see and have a heart of love and compassion for all people that are there and affected by their governance. Heavenly Father, we also pray for those who are and speak deliverance from the evils that lurk within the souls and spirits and the actions of others. We pray that they're delivered from that evil darkness and that cloud, and they pursue greatness and good things and also deliverance upon others instead of bringing havoc. We pray for all those who are in need of prayer this morning for whatever they may be going through. Only you and them know. So we pray that they are lifted and gifted and given the blessings of life and to renew and to revive and to restore whatever they need, blessings and healing, whatever they need to come up out of whatever hells they may think that they're in. We pray for them right now. Heavenly Father, thank you once again for another day. And we bring our guest on, and may the show live long and strong and go and grow high and wide and large and expand to all fields and all people and all possibilities. We pray for these things right now. In God's name, we pray. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Shay.
Amen. All right, everybody, let's do this. We got Linda in the house. Hey, Linda. And we gonna bring Lisa.
Good morning.
Lisa to
Hey,
Let me put you
before we get started on the Taino Indians and permaculture, I wanted to talk about Uncle Tom, where the derogatory term came from, who Uncle Tom really was, about Uncle Tom's Cabin, the book written by Harriet Beecher Stowe, and who she was and what that accomplished. When we see things in a negative light, it's not always what it seems. So let me get this started because I don't want to drag this out long because we got Lisa on here. I know she got a lot of info, and we don't want to be on here all day. Plus, this will give Lisa a little time to drink her tea. Because wait a minute, Lisa is up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be on this show, y'all. She's in California. She ain't on the East Coast.
Thank you.
So we appreciate you getting up out your bed to join us this morning.
And look at her. She look like a breath of fresh air. I mean, really.
At 5 in the morning. But that's that good living. And we're going to talk about that too.
No, it's the good Puerto Rican genes. Yeah.
And your food intake has a lot to do with it too. She don't buy a lot of stuff at the grocery store every week. She run into the store. She living off the land. Yep.
Yes.
So
so thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, appreciate
it. That's early.
Tell us about Uncle Tom.
Okay, let's do this. Uncle Tom, his real name was Josiah Henson. He was born in 1789 in Charleston, Maryland. And he was born to parents that were 2 slaves. And he was a slave as well. Well, when he was 8 years old, he was working in the field. And his father was as well. And his father heard a woman screaming. So he ran to see what was going on. When he got there, he found an overseer attacking his wife. And so he snatched the overseer up off of his wife and started choking him. And he was going to kill the overseer. And his wife begged him not to kill the overseer. So he didn't. And so the overseer said, we'll keep this amongst us because he wasn't supposed to be trying to rape the property of the master anyway. So when they finally got around all of the people after the choking had happened, he told the overseer lied and said that Josiah's father attacked him. So when he was 8 years old, he watched his father be tied to the whipping post, whipped 100 lashes. Then they tacked his left ear to the whipping post and cut it off. Because back then it was illegal for a black person or a slave or African, whatever name, denomination, color you want to put on them, us. They tied him after they cut his ear off, they sold him to a plantation in Alabama because that was like punishment. When they had slaves up north, for people that don't know this, they had slaves up north. But the slaves that were what they found troublesome or were going to revolt or cause the problem, they sold them down to the deep South because they know down there slavery was not the same as up north. They were much more volatile and much crueler masters, and so much more destruction and strife was in the South than it was up north. So after that happened, the master of the parents of Josiah Henson was alcoholic. And so one day he was so drunk, he fell off his horse into a small stream, and he was too drunk to save himself, and he drowned. So he had no wife and no children. So you know how the state does, or the powers that be. If you have no one to leave your stuff to, then it's sold and to the highest bidder, everything you got, and then the state inherits that. So they put Josiah on the auction block when they were selling the slaves. His mother and siblings were retained by a slave owner in Charleston, Maryland, and Josiah was sent to another plantation. But when he got to the plantation, he was very sick and ill. And so the slave owner that purchased Josiah realized, hey, if he's going to die, he ain't no good to me. So he sold him back to the person that owned his mother and his siblings. So he ended up being back with his mother, and she nursed him back to health, and he got strong. He grew up on this plantation. The master was not a real cruel man, but he allowed Josiah to be who he was, which was a very intelligent man. He was real strong. He was charismatic. All of the slaves loved him and looked up to him. And he was only 18 years old. And because he had a heart for the people. So one of the overseers on the plantation that he was on had stole from the master. So the master got rid of him. And he said, rather than him get another overseer and pay somebody, he used Josiah, which was one of the best moves he could have ever made. Because when he did that, the slaves loved Josiah. So he wasn't cracking the whip. He was operating out of love. So they produced more cotton for him than they did for any overseer they ever had. So the master was real pleased with this because Josiah was, making him rich. But Josiah had a yearning to be educated. And so his mother always was a real spiritual woman. And so she could never read or write, but she always quoted scripture, and everybody learned from hearing because they couldn't read. And so Josiah got a heart for the Lord, and he wanted to be a preacher, but he couldn't read. So how you gonna preach if you can't read out of the Bible? So he was teaching himself how to read and write. And when the master caught him, he beat him unconscious. And so he was gonna sell him, but he was just worth too much money, for him to get rid of him. So one day, the master, when he started getting a lot of money, he started gambling heavy. And so he went to go gamble. And when he would go gamble, he would always take Josiah with him because that was like his bodyguard. If he got money, and they were going to pay him, or else he'd put Josiah on him and make the people pay him. So Josiah heard a commotion because they wouldn't allow him in the people's house. but he heard a commotion going on, and so he ran in there, and his master was in the middle of a fight. So Josiah grabbed this guy and hit him. And so the guy pressed charges on Josiah and the master, because it was illegal for a black man to touch a white man back then. And how dare you hit one? So Josiah's master was he had to sell everything he had in order to pay off the other guy that was the master of the other plantation for what Josiah had did. So he didn't want to lose Josiah and his slaves. So he had a brother in Kentucky. So he told him, he said, Josiah, take the slaves to my brother in Kentucky. Now this is important. So Josiah is leaving from Maryland, and he has to go through Ohio in order to get to Kentucky. So Ohio is a free state. Now he's in charge of all of the slaves off this plantation. And when he got to Ohio, he could have just said, okay, everybody get off, go find jobs. You're free now. And they were begging Josiah to do it. But he was such an honored man that he and so forthright, he was like, well, I promised the master that I was going to take y'all to Kentucky. I can't release you. You know, so they were all his friends, and this is his mother and his mother and his wife and kids, all of them are included. So he wouldn't do it. So he dropped him off in Kentucky like he was supposed to. And when he got there, he found out that the brother was about to sell them to the deep South that was paying a lot of money for slaves. And it really hurt his heart. But that's where the term come in, you Uncle Tom, because Josiah, he could have let all of the slaves go, and including his own people, his own children, and they would have been free. But he thought they were going to a plantation like they came from, but the South was much different. They were crude. And so that's how he got the term Uncle Tom became derogatory. But we haven't even got to where they start calling him Uncle Tom. But because that was started after Harriet Beecher Stowe's book. But on his way back, he ran into a minister who ordained him. And so he became an ordained minister, and he told him to buy a good suit of clothes and for him to preach his way back and ask for money. So he got a soapbox and he preached, and he made $350. And so he took the $350 back to the old master to buy his own freedom. And so he told him that the $350 would be enough to buy him, his mother, and his family, all of the slaves, out of bondage. But the master lied to him. When he got down there to where the brother was with the paperwork, he only had enough for himself. So he was like, me being honorable to a man that's not honorable, you know, he saw that he was making moves that just wasn't going to work. The master wasn't going to never let him free. So he decided, he said, okay, he knew in Ohio, the man that had ordained him, the man that ordained him was an abolitionist. And this abolitionist told him, he said, well, you know, you can go to Canada from here. So he went, and all of the slaves that were in Kentucky that weren't sold into the deep South, he took all of those slaves back to Ohio. When they got to the Ohio River, they went to Canada. And once they got to Canada, all he could think about was that we're free. But then you have to think about, I'm free, but we don't have no clothes, no food, no lodging, and no way to make money. And we don't know anybody. So he started going to farms asking for jobs. So he got a job on a farm, and the only place the man had for them to stay was the barn, and the barn was full, and the only empty pen was the pig pen. So him, his mother, wife, and all of the children had to live in a pig pen for 6 months until they built the cabin.
Well,
So he stayed on this farm for 2 or 3 years. And then it was just disturbing his heart that he had still left people back in Baltimore that were slaves and down south. And so he became part of the Underground Railroad.
wow.
And so when he became part of the Underground Railroad, he actually himself went back as a runaway slave. You know, you are always hunted because you don't have any paperwork and no proof of who your master is or why you're out here. So you had to know how to get through different places to get somewhere. And so he saved 118 slaves and their families and brought them all to Canada. He set up what it was like a commune, and all of these runaway slaves stayed on the commune, and he set up a school. They had doctors, they had nurses, they had teachers, and they developed a Black community in Dunstan, Ontario, Canada. And so when he
and I have to say, that's a beautiful community. If anyone's been to Canada, Canada is gorgeous, especially Ontario.
Yep.
Absolutely breathtaking.
And so he had opened up not schools just for reading and writing, but trade schools. They were carpenters and brick masons and agricultural classes, because he was actually setting it up for people to be able to be self-sufficient. So
yes,
the land that he purchased
awesome.
land, it was like 200 acres that he purchased, and it had a lot of black walnut trees, which if anybody knows anything about wood, black walnut is beautiful wood. So they started making furniture, and he was teaching the runaway slaves how to make furniture. They made furniture so beautiful that he went to England to the Crystal Palace, where they have all of the huge sales. This is where you sell all of the top end furniture. And the first time he went, all he took was 12 boards that they had finished to show him what they could, what the beauty of the wood just in the boards. And it just so happened that the Queen was there looking for stuff to put in Windsor Hall. So
wow.
She had heard stories about Josiah being a runaway slave and how he went to Canada and started this community and all of this stuff, because he was popular, because he went all over Canada and Europe preaching about the evils of slavery.
Wow.
And how the slaves needed to be delivered from the evils of slavery, and the masters needed to be delivered from being the enslavers. And so this is before the Civil War. So
wow.
he had, his story had started getting around. In America, he was really talked about. So Harriet Beecher Stowe, she came from a family of 7 brothers, 2 sisters, 5 uncles, and everybody in her family was ministers except for the women. You know, they didn't allow women to preach back then. Only a man could bring the word. So, but she was like a matron of the church, and her mother and her grandmother, all of them were like matrons of the church, you know, like the ushers and all of that stuff. And, you know, they had their role in the church, but they were abolitionists. And her father always told the children, God put you here for a purpose. Find what your purpose is and fulfill it. And so she wanted to be a writer. And so she wrote the book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. And she could have wrote about a lot of other slaves. She could have wrote about Harriet Tubman. She could have wrote about Frederick Douglass, because they were much more popular than Josiah, because of what he had done and had that negative connotation connected to his name. And even though everybody knew he had changed, he still had that hanging over his head by the people. So Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote his story. And it was
Wow.
like making the first Black film, because it was a story about a runaway slave, which was not glamorized, you know. And writing a book about something like that was very radical at that time. And so it really shined a light on slavery and the evils of slavery. And so it kind of stirred up the pot and got people talking about, you know, we got to end this, because, you know, for people to go through something like this, you know, and then look what they can achieve. And then you had Frederick Douglass that was out there, and Harriet Tubman, and, you know, other great slaves, you know, that were out there that were helping the people and showing them, you know, that we were intelligent and that we could do stuff, and that we were creative, and we could be doctors, and we could be lawyers, and we could go to universities and be intelligent and shine. And so good people that were white, Europeans, just got fed up and say, we got to do something about this chattel slavery. And so and it got to the point where the South was getting so rich that they were controlling the majority of the United States. And the North was like, hey, you know, they getting a little too strong down there, you know, next they'll be taking us over. Because back then a state was like a country, like it is in Europe, you know, but when it wasn't the United States yet, it was just America. So then when the North got together and say, hey, you know, all of us are going to get together and we're going to go down there and we're going to squelch all of this slavery stuff. So that's when the Civil War broke out. And Uncle Tom's Cabin, the book, had an intricate part in starting that. And
that's a good thing.
The plays that came off of it, and people wrote other books because they didn't have no copyrights back then. So people stole the ideas from the book and made plays and made millions of dollars off of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Was a very popular book, one of the most popular ever in American history. You know, the only thing about it, Harriet Beecher Stowe was upset because the people didn't really know who Josiah Henson was. So she wrote another book called The Keys to Uncle Tom's Cabin. And it was the true story of Josiah Henson and the real Uncle Tom. And when Josiah went to Europe and the Queen saw his furniture, she was so impressed with who he was and the quality of his work that she purchased all of his stuff, everything that he had to sell, and all he did was go back and enhance it into his community. But I just wanted to tell that story to show that a lot of stuff that we hear about each other with a negative connotation to it ain't always the end of the story and always true to the letter. So before you start judging folks, make sure you know the truth. And that's the problem that we have here in America, because our history that's being told is not the truth.
Lies.
We need the children, and white, black, Latino, everybody needs to know true history. It'll change the dynamic of how people look at black people.
It'll change the dynamic of how
we look at each other.
People.
Yes.
The hell with how they see you in the eyes. It'll change. They're gonna see you with a color tone or whatever, but it's gonna change how people treat people. Because, like I said, y'all still don't get it. This racism is very prominent, and it disguises itself in so many different ways. And one of the things that and the guy that did it, he probably would say, "I'm not racist," but his actions were very discriminative, I thought. And that was at work to offer 3 men, white men, the positions to have a moved up position where that allots them more pay, and none of them have the seniority I got. None of them. I'm just saying. You wanted me back on your team, but none of them have the seniority I have. You didn't even think to ask anybody else. You directly said, "Hey, I'm taking my 3 white guys with me," and that's that. Nothing wrong with who we chose. They all they know the work, but you didn't even offer. You didn't even ask the black women.
Blood Brother Mike say that sound like the NFL.
It really is.
How many black coaches we got? One.
But hey, let me go through this real quick. And we got Lisa right here with nurturing her fire, which is making me sick because I want a fireplace in this house and I don't have one. All right, Lisa, enough.
That's Lisa's source of heat, though. She ain't got no forced air furnace in her house and no air conditioning.
I got it, but I can't afford it.
Look, Daybreak, good morning. Brother Mike, Nicola, Wellness Frugal, y'all, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have Kimberly Mixon Dixon, Daybreak. We got Alicia, Stan Edward Morris here this morning. God bless. Thank you, brother.
Stan?
Sister Marvette, Roosevelt Hadley, thank you all for joining us. Definitely Edith Rogers. We got it, y'all. We got it. Yes, indeed. Wellness. We got it. Alma's here, Bonnie, Linda Shaw, Danetta Cooper, Alicia. Man, thank you so much, everybody. Karen Dickerson, man, listen, I am so grateful for you all joining us this morning. Let's welcome Lisa Chiance to the screen. This is the lady we were back and forth with yesterday, y'all. That's Lisa. That's Lisa, and the Coke Jam.
Hey, before we get started, everybody that's on here, I see is on YouTube, and we appreciate everybody switching to YouTube. Nicola, please come off of Facebook and come on YouTube so we can get them numbers. We appreciate it. We're trying to get these numbers up.
Sister, thank you.
And Bonnie say she wanted to sing today, if I ain't mistaken. So before we end the show, we're going to have that segment. Anybody that wants to come on the scene, come on, and we're going to make it happen so somebody can win this $100. Because we only got like 3 people that sang that's eligible. And Mother is subscribed, but she can win that $50 because we didn't deem her as a professional vocalist.
No, Mother, she ain't.
So Mother, y'all don't have to sing if you want to. I'll just send Mother the money now.
She in the running. She's definitely in the running. Yes, she is. But we're here today, and we ain't gonna stay long because I do have a 10 o'clock appointment, y'all, online. I got to get my computer set up and everything. So they paying me for the hour, so I'm gonna go ahead on and do it. But I want everybody to join us with Lisa Chiance, who is the owner of Crossbull Ranch, which is located in Topanga, California. And I'm going to tell you all, I stayed in California for 12 years, and California is a beautiful state. Topanga was phenomenally gorgeous. It is so much open space. Everybody's got a farm. Either they're doing dairy, they got cow, they're doing meat, or they're doing vegetables. They're doing everything. But
and Lisa's doing an Airbnb on her property. So if you're interested in getting off the beaten path and just go out there and enjoy some of that good ass prana, get in touch with the sister. We're gonna put it up there. We're gonna post it up there so you everybody will have the information.
Right, exactly. Lisa, thank you for joining us this morning. Also, as Turk said earlier, for some of you who probably missed it, she is in California, so they are 2 hours behind us. So she's been at this 5 o'clock this morning.
3.
No, they only 2.
3.
What time is it now?
Las Vegas is 3 hours. California is 3 hours.
It is what?
3 hours.
3.
No, they're 2, Turk, from me.
You guys are not listening. But
that's right.
Whatever it is,
it's 2 from me, 3 from Turk.
I'm forgetting my time is different.
You know what? We only have a little time. I would like, first of all, to say how grateful I am to be invited back to In My Element with Neela and now Turk. It's been a year since I was invited the first time, since Neela and I met on Awakening Live. Yes, and connected over her sister's journey as well as mine through breast cancer. Yes, I'm a breast cancer thriver for 10 years. So yes, I usually wake up or before I go to sleep, and when I eat, I say 5 things I'm grateful for. So I'm grateful to be alive and well. Yes, I'm grateful for this connection that God made with me and Neela, and for Neela bringing Turk to me because he's my brother. Yes, and for the In My Element family. Yes, and for the land that I have, because certainly, Neela, Topanga is not the same anymore, especially since COVID. It was like waking up and being Ichabod Crane. The entire town has been re-gentrified, and it costs $84 to have breakfast now. Instead of a $5, it's $15 for a bowl of oatmeal now, and $21 for an omelet up the street, where it used to be $5 for 2 eggs, sunny side up, home fries, bacon, toast, and coffee 2 years
That's
ago.
because it's big money out there, y'all. That's why it's big money out there. And I know I work door to door out there.
80% of the money in circulation right now was printed and was given out by the current administration. And the young people in Hollywood are not working, and they don't have to earn anything. So they'll pay whatever it is because they didn't earn the money. So they're all coming up here, and now Topanga's become West Hollywood. Yes, and it's very sad because I moved out of Hollywood to come here to live in the country.
And
so when I go into town now,
7 years.
When I go in, yes, I've been here 30 years. And when I go into town now, it's like a Sasquatch sighting. It's like, look, there's an actual Topanga person. Yes. So, and then after yesterday,
Brother Mike's stupid. He said he ain't coming there, Lisa. It's cheaper for him to eat at home.
No, you come here and I grow my own food and I sprout for you and I cook for guests and I teach sprouting, which costs pennies a day to eat. And it's 250 to 500 times more nutritious than eating something, yes, like a garbanzo or black bean or lentil boiled. Yes. And I serve people food and I do time banking and yes, everything. But I want to go back to what Randall shared because yes, God works. Yes, I'm just here to say God just doesn't work. He rocks. Because Randall, yesterday, yes, Moses and everyone that was on yesterday, no one's walked in my shoes and no one knows who I am. Okay. So I just want to say, Randall, I'm going to cry because the town I grew up in, I was born in Manhattan. My parents are from the Bronx. They're first generation Americans. My grandparents came from, yes, even though someone said it's not relevant. Well, it is to me. My grandparents came from Ireland from the potato famine. My paternal grandmother, my Sicilian grandfather escaped the fascists in Italy and came from Sicily, the United States, and Sicilians are the scum of Italy. Yes. My two maternal grandparents came from Puerto Rico, and Puerto Ricans are like the lowest echelon on the Latina scale, also considered the scum.
Can I say something, Lisa?
Yes.
When you mentioned the Sicilians being the scum, do you know why they considered the scum?
Because we're more.
They were mixed bloods with the Africans.
Yes, I'm going to get into that. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. So when Moses and other people were talking to me yesterday, like you've never walked in my shoes. I've been to Italy on business, and in the 1990s, had captains of industry tell me that I was supposed to lie and not admit that my family was from Sicily because they're still not respected and they're just criminals. Yes. So yes, and then my grandparents came here from Puerto Rico under cloak of darkness with nothing through Ellis Island. Yes. My grandfather with $9 and my grandmother with a phone number after she had to hide her children in a convent because she was promised in Puerto Rico, because still to this day, the age of consent in Puerto Rico is 14. That's why the United States government wants to take Puerto Rico and make it a state, because it will be a pedophile haven. Yes, and the age of consent was 14, and my grandmother was in a chastity belt until she was promised at 14 to a 36-year-old man. And he supposedly beat her and abused her after they gave the dowry for my grandmother, and she gave my aunts to the convent and escaped to United States under cloak of darkness all by herself, and met my Puerto Rican grandfather at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Manhattan in 1926 at a recent immigrants gathering, and they fell in love at first sight. She was 36 and he was 19. Yes, and they lived through the Depression, and my grandfather raised 7 children with her. Yes, and they were married for 60 years. And going back to Randall, divine intervention and impulse, yes, alignment and timing. The town where I was raised in Washington Township, New Jersey, which is called Washington Township because it was literally a base for General Washington before he became president. Yes, Washington was a farmer. Yes, who was a farmer and gathered.
Washington was a slave master.
Yes, but he was also a farmer. Whatever.
That's how he was making his money. He wasn't growing nothing but niggas. Excuse me for saying it like that, but that's what he did.
I grew up respecting the United States and admiring Washington, whatever. If I was ignorant as a child, that's fine. But my point is, also in my town was something called the Seven Chimneys, and it was one of Harriet Tubman's Underground Railroad stations. And as a child, I read Uncle Tom's Cabin, and I was the only person who went into Seven Chimneys and explored and found out what the Underground Railroad is. And every summer I used to get shipped off to my Puerto Rican grandpa's potato and onion farm, an 80-acre farm in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, in a swamp. Yes. And he would take us all the time to the slave stocks in Charleston and make us learn about slavery. And I was the little northern girl, and all the Dixiecrats and KKK men would call me the damn Yankee girl. Yes.
They do that now.
Yes.
They do that to me right now.
And I would ask, like, why are all the Black people living on the edge of town in corrugated metal shanties? Like, what is going on here in 1969, and get in trouble all the time? And I was the only person, yes, who would ask those questions, and I was constantly in trouble. Yes, and even with my Puerto Rican grandmother, we all know, let's be honest, within the races, there's discrimination. So my mom is a blonde-haired, green-eyed, because Puerto Rico's a 26-mile diameter island. So we were pillaged, plundered, and raped by every country, basically. Yes, when they came there with their ships. That's how the Tainos got their name, from Columbus. Yes, and so we were not allowed, I was not allowed to disclose I was Puerto Rican in South Carolina, and my mom and dad would not let us admit that we were Puerto Rican in Washington Township, New Jersey, because it was all Irish, Italian Catholics, and we were the only Puerto Ricans in the whole town. So I just want to say that. And then when I was in high school, even in New Jersey, I understand. In New Jersey, I was the only one too who was friends with all the Black people, because they had them live in another town, and the girls came in high school and threatened to beat me up. A group of Black girls were going around to every locker in my gym class trying to beat up people. And when they came to me, I was like, I have to tell you, you can try and beat me up, but like, I am Puerto Rican. Like, yeah, I'm Puerto Rican. My mom won't even let me acknowledge it. I have relatives like as Black as coal, but everyone seems to
Hold up, Lisa. I don't mean to cut you off. Blood Brother Mike, I'm looking at your comments.
Yeah.
Just open your mind for a minute. All of this is Black history.
Yes. Yes. And my grandma used to say, me.
You know, just calm down a minute. We ain't throwing no shots this morning. We trying to get away from that. And if you feel like you need to go off the list to read Marcus Garvey, you should have been and read that already, bruh.
Well, anyway,
we are not our masters. We aren't the people who do that type of stuff, man. It's a place we trying to have dialogue to figure out a way out of this BS. We ain't cracking jokes this morning.
Yes, and I'm
and what you putting on the comments, you know, it's funny, it's cute, but it ain't feasible right now, bro. And you know I love you, but we can't fight bullshit with bullshit.
Okay, well, I'm going to check out your comments.
If you want to get off, man, you know, just go ahead and get off. But let the jokes fly sometime, you know, another time. And if anybody is offended by her talking, and this is Black History Month, I mean, come on, damn, y'all gonna. I know we can't be racist because we ain't got enough money, and I know we got our prejudices, but we got to open up. Wow. We got to have some dialogue. You know, you got to know how they're thinking, what they going through, because if we're ever going to get any type of understanding in humanity, the shit got to stop somewhere.
Yes, dude, I don't know what he's saying, but we all
know it don't even matter. I don't even know. I want you to know what he's saying. And you know, it's cool.
I can't see right now.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. Get back to the subject.
Yes, I just want to
thank you.
Thank you very much.
All I want to say is my grandpa, going back to whatever's going on in the chat, and I'm glad I can't see, so I'm not. Yes, my grandpa used to always tell me, Lisa, we all bleed blood red. And my grandma used to say really mean things to me, like, don't marry a dark person because all your babies will turn out to be negritas and you have a negrita butt. And I'd say, why are you saying mean things about Black people? We are Black. We have African blood. My Italian grandfather has African blood. Why are you like making me be self-loathing? So then I started studying about Puerto Rico. And what you're saying about Josiah was a marooner. That is the time of the marooners. Yes, when people were escaping slavery, whether they were free or not, and Puerto Rico was actually Florida, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, Jamaica, and Puerto Rico. Yes, and all these ships had slaves on them, and they were coming to Puerto Rico, and they escaped, and they started self-sufficient, like Josiah, self-sufficient, self-reliant communities, and they were hunted down like animals. Yes. And that's part of why I do and teach self-sufficiency and self-reliance. And I don't believe in racism because also the village, whoever's on here, just so you know, yes, my grandfather came from a village called Cabo Rojo, and Cabo Rojo is La Cuna de Betances. And Betances is the Hispanic, the Puerto Rican man who freed the African slaves. That is why there's no racism and there's only classism in Puerto Rico, which is what is happening here. Okay. And in the previous episode a year ago, when I was blessed to meet Neela and she invited me on during Black History Month. Yes. And I was on with Joan. We talked about people who would sign away their Blackness or to be white. They would literally sign papers to say.
They were passing because it allowed them to be able to prosper.
Yes, and Betances' father signed that, but Betances refused to sign that. He ended up being a geopolitical diplomat and went and helped the marooners and the slave classes in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the United States. He deserves like a movie and a book. He is like a superhero for racism around the world, what this man achieved. So that's why I'm here right now. Yes, I might not, and it's really sad during COVID, even with the SBA, the business, yes, for the United States. You know how many times in the last 2 years I've been told like, oh, yeah, I don't know if you can get a grant. You don't have a Hispanic last name, or you don't look Hispanic enough, or you don't look, or you're too white looking. Yes, you know what? I'm sick. And even within my family, like my mom, because she's looks like a mulatto, which I had, yes, my grandma used to use that word all the time, and high yellow and all this bullshit. Like within the Puerto Rican race and even the African race, there's different value put on the level of the color of your skin.
Yeah, because that's a part of white supremacy. The brown bag test. If you white, you right. If you yellow, you mellow. If you brown, stick around. And if you black, get back.
Yes, and my mom
has been in existence since slavery.
I gotta take a breather. I gotta go into these comments before they get away. Some of these comments. Let's see. Hey everyone. I'm confused. It comes from the country you are, unless you stole it from. Okay. Okay. Busy Mama says negrita is not derogatory. It's not a derogatory word in Spanish.
No, she's just letting people know in the comments that it's not like the word nigga. Negrito means dark.
Busy Mama is one of my moderators, so she's
Negro
going in and upgrading people. And I just want to put it out there.
I just want to point out, when your grandmother points out that you have a voluptuous rear end, a culito, and tells you have a negrita butt, that is not a compliment for me nor Black people, characterizing them by the
I like them negrito butts.
Let me finish. She's saying
that's a compliment.
Negrita is not basically a derogatory word in Spanish, because they'll call each other, oh, he's a negrita, to let people know you're negrita. But she said,
and it's the same in the Philippines. They are negritas too.
You're not listening. I understand that. It all has to do with.
We're not talking to you, Lisa. We're talking to the people in the comments.
No, but I want to let you know that it's about the inflection and the way my grandmother used to say it.
Oh, we know she was using it
about you
as a derogatory thing.
Don't even worry about that. We're giving information to our viewers. And right now, what she's saying is that the word negrita, it might have hurt your feelings, which we're not negating that. But what we're saying is that the word negrita, to inform people, is not considered really a bad or derogatory word in Spanish. It's their Spanish word, negrita, for Black. Yeah. But Busy Mama also said they use it interchangeably without racism intentions. I am aware that within some Hispanic and Latino cultures, there are some discriminations for darker. However, in Cuba, she says it does not exist.
I disagree. I have Cuban friends, yes, and I disagree.
Well, I don't. Well, I got a couple of Cuban friends right here in the city.
Well, you got a lot of Cubans. You got a lot of Cubans, like old boy down there in Florida, that he can pass for white because he's so bright. So he looks down on the darker skinned Cubans. Right. But that's in America. That ain't in Cuba.
Right.
But you know, the brown bag test is everywhere. From Africa,
and once again, like Lisa just said, she disagrees because she has Cuban friends. I do too, and that once again, I kind of agree with you on that, Turk. It's in America, Lisa, where all this crap goes on.
But it's also within Cuban families in Cuba. There's a different value put on children that are lighter than darker. I'm just being
it's all over the world. It's all over the world.
Lisa. That's all over the world.
Yes, I know what you're saying. It's just America. It's all over the freaking world.
Yeah, we know that. But America is the one that keeps everything going because Blacks are more respected out of the country than they are in it.
I disagree with that too. I've traveled all over.
That's because you ain't Black. I mean, you might have Black blood, but you don't look the part.
You don't look the part.
All I have to tell you, Randall, is when I was
pass. If your neighbors come to your house, unless you tell them you Puerto Rican, they don't know.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about.
But that's what we talking about as far as this Black and brown and white thing is concerned around the world.
That's not okay. When my personal experience working in Paris and in France and England and Italy at the top hotels and restaurants where I was blessed to stay because of my clients' expense accounts, there were no Black people in any of those businesses when I went to 5-star Michelin restaurants and 5-star hotels. Like none. That's all I have to say. You weren't
either. The point we're making, Lisa, and we're not being derogatory, and this is not.
I just think we're talking about America.
Let me finish saying this. This is not going to be an argument. We're just This is how people need to learn. You're not hearing this. We're saying that you may have Black bloodline. Do you agree? We're saying that you are not the brown that would get the rejection and the oppression and the suppression that we get as
unless you tell them
people.
Yes, and I'm agreeing. I'm telling you, on business in France and England and Italy, in the top Michelin 5-star restaurants and hotels, there were no people darker than me anywhere. At least in America, if you can afford to pay the bill, you're allowed in. But there, you're not allowed in.
What year was this?
In the 90s, almost 2000. Yes. Yes.
Michelin
I just wanna
restaurants
say
may
that.
have.
I don't know. I always
Yes.
musicians and entertainers and stuff like that were black that went to Europe got treated better there than they did in the
because they
United
were
States.
entertaining. They were providing entertainment. It's another form of slavery. They were performing for the white people and the French people.
They were performing for the white people here in America, but they still made them go to the back door and treated them like shit. In Europe, they didn't do that.
Oh, okay.
They could stay in the hotel. They didn't make them go to different hotels. I'm talking about when Nat King Cole and all of the performers that were changing over to the white side to draw in a white audience, when they went to a place, they couldn't perform at the Copa. They couldn't stay in the Waldorf Astoria. But when they went to Europe, they could do the top billing places, even if they was discriminatory to everybody else. Yes. They still allowed them to walk in the front door.
So here's what I'm going to say. I want everybody to hear what I'm getting ready to say. I want everybody here in the audience, Lisa, Turk, everybody to hear what I'm going to say. Because what I'm getting ready to give you guys is some realistic truth for 2022. Lisa, I met you through the Awakening Conference, and it was a great thing. I've been knowing Turk over 40 years. I've met you now. It's been almost 2 years now. And it don't matter about in the years of the time of the relation. The point is, right now in this day and age, 2021, you have Black bloodlines running through you because the Puerto Rican history and all that, the Italian, all that, Sicilian, of course, we're very aware of that. The thing is what we're talking about is that the reasons things won't happen for you the way they've happened for us. Yeah, you've had bad stuff happen. Of course. You've been embarrassed. You couldn't hold on to who you are and all of that. But the blessing you have and what we're trying to say is that your mom and dad were able to tell y'all, no, you don't tell them you Puerto Rican, don't tell them you tell them you Negrito, don't tell them you this, because you were able to pass off as being someone else. We're not. We don't have those options to straddle the damn fence.
Yeah.
Let me finish. We don't have those options to straddle the damn fence. Okay? So therefore, you can never be able to understand what we're going through because you're not walking in those damn shoes. We understand your shoes. We've been in your shoes. We know your shoes because the shoes you walking in, the same damn shoes we done already walked in as being Black.
I am not.
Let me finish. This is not an argument. This is not an argument. This is enlightening you to what we're trying to explain. Stop acting like you don't understand what the hell we're talking about. Now, this is where I'm gonna go with this. Wait, stop. Stop acting like you don't know what we're talking about. You must have to understand where the fuck we're coming from. I'm just gonna keep it real. Because you're not Black in color. Regardless if your bloodline is, you're not in color. So you have not endured the BS we've endured in this country. No, you
I
have
didn't
not, girl.
say that I have.
No, she
and
didn't.
I to say I'm understanding. You know what?
No, she said.
Let me finish. You're making it into an argument, and it's not. It's not a combative thing.
I'm not arguing.
I'm talking and explaining to people so they'll understand the hell that Black has gone through. I'm letting them know. And this is not an argument. Once again, this is not a combative thing. This is an educational, this is for people to understand. And that's where the damn problem lies, in the understanding. Because instead of listening, zipping it and listening, and trying to feel within your heart the hell we've endured all these damn years. People don't do that. It's like, well, this is what's going on now. But because you can't feel it in your heart, the empathy, the downright empathy of what a Black people have had to go through and endure, and still to this damn day enduring, but have come through roaring, still no credit for the foundation of where you all are to come from. No credit for that foundation, that black foundation where the earth exists from, the black mother.
You know what? Let me say this. Ben just said a mouthful. He said, long as we arguing, the people in charge is happy.
That's why I'm trying to tell people, hold on, Turk, stop. I just said this is not a combative thing.
Yeah, I know.
I'm letting people know the enduring what we've had to go through, and it's continuously going through. How can people not fathom that this is some BS and this is some corrupt BS?
Lisa understand that.
I know.
She just ain't never had to go through it, T.
I'm not
just what she had to go through was she had to hide who she was. I understand what she's saying.
I was really quiet and everybody was talking. I'm saying, people listen to what I'm saying. Give me the plate for a minute, okay? This is not a combative issue. Stop. Open your.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I ain't asked for you either. This is not a combative issue that I'm talking about here. This is not a combative issue, y'all.
Okay, well, take the combative tone out your voice then.
Oh, okay, but here's the thing. If y'all allow me to talk, then I can speak it.
Come on.
People have not, stop cutting me off. People have not.
I ain't cut you off. Go ahead, T. Now, relax.
Brother Mike, this is what no joke time, right? And I'm serious about what I'm saying. And I'm going to say this. This is not a combative moment. I don't want Lisa thinking, oh, but you don't understand. I do all know that you're black, and it's not about that. You don't have to agree to disagree or agree to agree. It's just to let people know that when you have a lighter skin tone, such as you, Lisa, you have not had to walk in the shoes that a little black girl of brown tone skin with thicker, woollier hair has had to deal with. It was a blessing on you to be able to look the way you look, to get away with what you've gotten away with in the years, because you would not have been able to do the things you've done all the way that you've done it if you looked different from way back then, because the opportunities were not existing for people of brown tone color. That's all I'm saying. So be grateful of your heritage. I understand you want to hold on to your heritage. That's your heritage. You should. But also be grateful that you did not have to walk that plank. You walked some plank with some of the stuff, but you didn't walk that hard ass plank all the way out the middle of that Antarctic or that Pacific Ocean. That plank was hellified, girl. And I'm telling you, it was hellified for the Italians. It was hellified for everything. That's the whole black experience, though. The Italians and the Puerto Ricans. That's the whole black experience anyway. Be grateful that you have the view, you have the look and everything of how you look. Now, the disrespect to me is the eyes and the rollings, and nobody want to hear what I had to say. That is where I will snap, because I ain't for it. I'm trying to bring enlightenment to people. This is not a disagreement. This ain't none of that. We understand and respect all of that. I just wanted to put out there that you should be grateful because you did not have to walk them down.
I'm not saying I'm not grateful, Neela. I thought I was coming on to talk about marooners and about sustainable food. The bottom line is I'm saying I can understand because I saw people dressed in KKK robes and I saw burning crosses on lawns in South Carolina as a child. And I
refuse to have somebody come on my motherfucking show, excuse my French people, with that attitude. It's not going to fucking happen. Not here. And I mean that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a prime example of what's going on in the United States today. People can't even have a dialogue 2 minutes about racism or anything like that.
I'm not going to have it. Because when I asked to speak, and I asked to speak because I gave all the time in the world for everybody to talk, I didn't say nothing. I sat right here and I said, wow. I was listening. I was saying, wow. But if I ask to speak on my own goddamn show, I mean, I want to speak. Let's not get it twisted. Okay. I'm not going to fight with nobody to speak on my own damn show. And I mean that. And that's not being harsh. It's being real. But it's also a respect. I respected everybody to speak. You, Turk, told us about Uncle Tom. I didn't even speak. I didn't even disrupt you and speak to people in the audience because I wanted the story to come out about the Uncle Tom story because it's such a great story. And it just goes to show how people of unlevel mindset don't focus on all we can do is focus on the bad, the bad, the bad, the bad. And all we can do and not deliver the good for what somebody did. Yeah, that man had to turn his whole family and other people over to another master. And he did it. And everybody's, and that Uncle Tom, you could have set your people free. But that man had a right. He did that because that's where his heart was. And then look what he did later. Look at the legacy he left later. And that was all. Because now instead of taking that Uncle Tom story, now you see that Uncle Tom really, he did a good thing. You know, but see, people thinking, oh, he shouldn't have did what he did the first time. But y'all know God has a mood and a move for everybody. There is a walk, a path that we all must walk. And in that path, when we're walking it, ain't no telling where the Spirit guides and leads you. It's the heart connected to whatever it is that guides and moves you. And I pray that it's the spirit of uplifting and love and not the spirit of doom and gloom. As much as Black people have endured doom and gloom, I understand the stories of people that don't look like us. I understand the stories of Jews and the Holocaust. I understand the stories of all that. Because those are stories we've been hearing for years as well. But who really stands the story of Black people in America and all over the world still to this day, 2022, Amir Locke, all these guys getting killed at the hands of these white officers and nothing's being done about it.
They being killed at the hands of each other.
And we getting killed at
and
the
ain't
hands.
shit being done about it.
Hold on, wait, I ain't done. And we getting and we killing each other. And because for what reason? Is it somebody behind that paying you to get paid? Are you getting paid for this? Or are you just killing people because you gun happy? It's so much going on right now. The spirit is wicked. It's really wicked. But I'm not going to have the dissension on the show of what we had. Because yesterday was a long show. It was really good. It was fired up. We got into blah, blah, blah. But it still turned out a good show. But today, it just seems like we need to go forward with what we said we were going to go forward with. And that was the permaculture and the Taino Indians. And not all the rest of stuff. Because there's nothing you have to prove. Lisa don't have to prove nothing to nobody. We know you Puerto Rican. We know you Italian. We know you all of that. We ain't finna argue on that. But I had to put my 2 cents in since everybody wanted, we know you went through hell. We still going through hell. But the privilege still lies, no matter what. Admit that the privilege still lies. As much as you got to hold on to who the hell you are, and you should. But the privilege is still there. Don't deny it. Don't deny it. It's still there. But I'm telling people, blackness
only a person.
Whiteness reigns, and we all, this understanding of where we all come from, just like with Blood Brother Mike. And he said, and I got to tell you this, he said, I wasn't saying jokes at all. He said, I came into the show late, I guess, but I didn't get why she was just talking, what her purpose was. He didn't get it. I was not on joke time at all. He said, but we all good, because he texted me to tell me that. And I was getting respond, but I was listening to the story, and I listened to the story, and I listened to the story, and I was looking at him, but I was trying to focus here. And this is really about understanding who the hell we are as Black people. First of all, this is Black History Month. Who are we as Black people? You know, first of all, we got to come together as a damn people before we let any other outsiders think that they're doing any other justice for us than what we can do for ourselves. We need to come together as Black people. End of story. You know, all this damn hate, all this damn bicker, all this damn fighting, all this damn killing, it's ridiculous. Nudging, who she thinks she is, who he think he is, all this craziness, it's ridiculous. Why? Why? Everybody has a mission. Lisa has a damn mission. Turk has a mission. I got a mission. Edith's busy, mama, frugal. Everybody got a mission. Blood, all of us got a mission. Everybody wants their own recognition. Recognize. Turk is an artist to the hilt. Born gifted damn artist. He don't even know his own. I don't think he even know his own scale. I don't even know my own scale. Let's be admittable. We all trying to feel our way in this world. You know, we all are learning on a day-to-damn-day basis about how to live in this world. And definitely being Black, and being Black with Black sons. And being Black with Black sons who's against with guns, who's against each other. When do we come to a table of understanding and say, brother, I understand your pain, your agony, your sorrow, whatever you're going through that makes you, forces you, or sister, I understand, you know, your untrust and all this, whatever it is making you go through whatever it is you're going through. But God damn it, I am not the one to sit around here and badger nobody damn body all the damn time. I don't do it. I don't care if y'all do it or whatever. That's y'all. We all are trying to live. There is no great eyes and no big T's among us. No one. I don't care how much money you got. Not even Jeff Bezos, Oprah Winfrey. None of them are greater than you or me or we. We're all damn people learning on a path, guiding, going, and just being led. And half the damn time we've been led astray. And now we stuck sometimes in those mindsets. And it's so hard to change. And we're here today, 50, 40, whatever your age is. I hope you hear me. But there has got to be some type of respect for each other and the things that we do, even if you don't like it. Just respect it because it's what the person does. It's who the hell they are. Do you see anything better that we can do to make change? What can we push to make change? I want to see change in this lifetime. I really do. I'm not a racist person. I'm not, of course I can't be, right? I'm not really prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced at all. I just don't like bullshit. I don't want to hear lies. I don't want to hear people pretending. I don't want to hear that. We have all been going through some damn struggles. But one thing I have to say, I ain't seen a struggle yet as bad as what Black people have gone through in this damn world. Against each other and against others. It's ridiculous. The jealousy, the hate, the envy. We have got to build a stronger support system. We have got to support each other, regardless if you don't even want to watch the show. Support it. And I'm supporting y'all. If you hit me up and say, just hit the link and subscribe, I'm doing it. I do it. Just share it out. Just share, boom, it's gone. Whoever's played it lands on, good for them if it's something they need. But God, we're going to talk about permaculture. because we need to know how to survive in this damn world, because the food desert is becoming a desert still. It ain't got filled up with plants and food. It's still a desert in a lot of ways for a lot of people. Go to some of the stores. A lot of the stuff is missing off the shelves. Stopping ships in the middle of the water. This has become a pinky in the brain. This is such a wicked world we're living in. You know, the people of not the world, but the people of the world. Some of these people are so wicked, you know, hateful. The 1%ers, they want to control everything. It ain't even no need for that. We all got to damn eat. What's going to happen when they want to control everything and everybody, they suppressing and oppressing, starve, and then they ain't got nobody clean their damn house, do their yard, and nothing else. They don't even realize. You don't even have to oppress no people like that. All this freaked out control. You got enough money to last you for 90 million damn years. It don't even take that much money to live if you do it right. All these increases in cost of living, crazy. Let's talk about permaculture. Lisa, are you ready to talk about permaculture?
Oh, yes.
That's where we're going.
Come on. Well,
Ask away, Randall.
okay. First of all, we need to let people know what permaculture is. Permaculture is when you start gardening in any environment, including the desert, including concrete. If you have an apartment building, you can grow vines that are edible on the building. And this is permaculture is about being able to survive with natural plant-based foods that you grow yourself organically and naturally, that also help with the environment. It's not harmful to the environment. Most agriculture that they use tears the environment down. You have to stop every 7 years and let the soil rest, or else you'll extract so many nutrients out of it, the soil become dead and is no longer any good. So
Yes, permaculture is growing within the canopies of nature, and instead of what people are doing now, which is murdering the soil, there's an entire web similar to, yes, like mycelium and everything that goes across the top of the earth, the top of the soil, and goes up into the trees. And just like the web or the internet, that is the communication system for all plants, yes, on earth. And so when in the 1940s and 1945, when they convinced people that post-military chemicals from the war were fertilizers and pesticides.
DDT.
Yes, and they started monocropping, clear cutting, creating dust bowls, like, yes, the grapes of wrath, and clear cutting entire environs. Every tree is a home to so many animals. Yes, and pollinators. Yes, you're destroying the earth. When you till the soil and aerate the soil, you're destroying the mycelium and the internet of things for plants and animals. So
microorganisms in the soil.
Yeah. Yes, and all the natural nutrients. It's like GMO foods. It's like you're not needed. Mother Nature knows what she needs. I would highly recommend to everyone that you Google Bill Mollison. He is the father of permaculture. He was from Wales, and he went on a walkabout because he couldn't take society anymore. Yes. And he took off and went on what's called a walkabout. And people in Australia and that type of area do it all the time, where it's like a sabbatical in nature for like a long time, and observed what was going on in nature and brought it back and communicated to the farmers that there was a more holistic way of growing. And it's not inserting non-indigenous plants and animals into different environments. It's only working within the canopies and working with what already exists in nature in those places. So it's all about seasonal indigenous vegetables and fruits and everything in the area where you grow, not forcing something that's not from that area. And the philosophy is earth care, yes, people care, regardless of race, yes, and fair share, also regardless of socioeconomic class or race. That is the permaculture philosophy. Earth care, people care, and fair share, yes. And there's a 13-part module by Bill Mollison, which is the original permaculture design course, which is called a PDC. Yes, and many people are charging. He offered it free for over 30 years, wow. And many people are charging up to $3,000 for it these days, and you can get it online for free. Yes, I've sent Neela and Randall several links, and I even sent them to talk at My Element with Neela yesterday. 3 different videos to share with the In My Element family. Yes, and then when they talk about food deserts, it's like casting spells. That's what they're doing. They're broadcasting. They're casting spells. They're encouraging all these things. And so, yes, so they bury the Mollison videos, and they're trying to keep permaculture from people. But it will save the world, same as sprouting. And as Randall said, you don't need to even have like a 1/10 of an acre or a house. You can literally, I sent Randall a video. First of all, you can use a 3-foot by 6-foot patio on an apartment, and you can grow all the food you need. There's a video in grave danger of falling food, because that's what Bill Mollison believed, that every person on earth, there is no such thing as lack in nature. There is only abundance. Yes. And there is no such thing as competition. It's all an illusion that's being perpetrated against all of us around the globe on this planet, prison planet. Okay, we're all on a prison planet. That's the reality. And I thought Randall and I, before I heard him talk about Yosef, yes. Uncle Tom and everything. I thought we could talk about the Dogon. I thought we would talk about the Dogon and the Taino. That's why I was hoping we would start. But anyway, and then the easiest way for anyone who's concerned about the price of goods, like Neela was talking about, because they're driving up inflation by putting 80% of the money in circulation, is illusion. It was all just printed and thrown out there like, you win a car. Yes, and it's driving up the prices on everything. So the best way to grow your own food that's 100% organic and non-GMO is something called sprouting, which, of course, the U.S. government has been doing with the military since the 1940s, and they've been giving us the terrible food pyramid, and it's not a coincidence, a pyramid. Yes, with tons of carbohydrates that are just sugar that are going to give you diabetes and poison you at the biggest part. Yes, sprouting. If you take a garbanzo bean, yes, or a lentil or a black bean, which are the highest proteins for vegans or vegetarians, because for 3 years when I had breast cancer 10 years ago, I did not go to a grocery store, and I created my own food. Yes, because I had no money to pay. Yes, I got no assistance. So I decided to grow my own food. So I researched black beans, lentils, and garbanzos are the highest protein of all the vegetarian, foods you could eat, lentils being the highest. If you boil a lentil or a garbanzo, yes, it's one thing, but if you sprout it, those lentils and garbanzos are the same as sunflower seeds. Those are seeds, and seeds are stored sunlight, right, from photosynthesis. So it's stored energy. When you open a seed and you sprout it, you're creating living food. So what you do is you take the seed like you used to do in kindergarten, put it between like 2 paper towels with your kids to germinate them and see the little sprout coming up. That little first piece is called a cocktail. Yes, and it's even more nutritious than microgreens, which they're selling at all the like Whole Foods and Erewhon and everything that costs so much money.
For like $6, $7 for a
yes,
little,
and a sprout.
Little things we got in school, we start a little sprout with, Lisa. Remember them little Turk too?
Yes, all of us. Yes, I would think all of us have done it ourselves in kindergarten or with our kids.
So, Lisa, let me ask you this. Let me stop you for a minute. Yeah. When you talk about sprouting, tell us about how does the sprouting stage start?
Yes. So what you do is you take a seed. You can use, I build my own sprout kits. I could go inside, but I'm too exhausted right now emotionally to get up right now and go get it. Yes. Anyway, I build my own, and I can teach another like course with Turk and Neil on another show because I'm an architect by trade and a construction manager. I repurpose like ends of 2x4s and flattened bicycle inner tubes and mason jars and cheesecloth. And I made my own sprout kits, but you can sprout in a pot with a colander. I'm getting ready to sprout for my first event. I'm hosting 15 people here on the ranch, and the client is having me sprout. The entire meal is going to be sprouted for 15
So
people.
how do you sprout in a pot?
So I'm going to use, I could go get it, but anyway, you
can even go get the stuff, Lisa. Go ahead. You can get it. You ain't that emotionally drained.
I just want to show how easy it is. But anyway, you could just take a pot. You could just take a pot and a colander, a colander or a strainer that you use for pasta or whatever, right? Or to clean off vegetables. I'm sure some of us hopefully clean our vegetables, and please use apple cider vinegar when you clean your vegetables and water to clean your vegetables. So anyway, you take the colander and you cover the bottom of the colander, make it level for an inch of whatever you're sprouting. You don't want to stack it too high because the volume and the pressure of the weight will cause mold, right? When something's if you have something too close together and it's damp, it's going to cause mold. So you put the beans at the bottom, for an inch, and you drop them in the first day. Yes, the first day you drop them in and you soak them. Like my Hispanic and Italian grandmother, I'm almost afraid to bring up any nationalities anyway, they would soak pasta and they would soak rice because they had so many kids and they were so broke during the Depression that it increases the yield because it does increase the volume. A 25-pound bag of garbanzos will create 250 pounds of food if you sprout it. That's why all these relief efforts around the world are such BS, because they're giving people loaves of bread or even our own food program until now when they've opened it up to farmers' boxes, but blocks of cheese that'll give you inflammation and digestive issues to kill you. Yes, and canned food with lead. Yes, that has zero nutritional value anymore. So you put it for an inch, you put it in the water, and the first day, you submerge it. So when I would teach kids in preschool sprouting, I'd say it's just like when you take a bath. The first day, you give the seeds a bath. So you're dropping the colander into a pot. I'm just going to go get it like Randall said. After all this, I'm going to get it because I want everybody to know how easy
it is. She says she emotionally drained. She's trying to say, you ain't that emotionally drained. That shit, no.
Light up a joint, you be all right.
Wait, she must say light up a joint.
Couple of cuelos that call me in the morning.
Have a joint, have a glass of wine, she be all right.
Yeah, I'm going to go get a bottle of champagne and some orange juice after that.
I know that's right.
This is the simplest way. All you need, you can just do it with a colander, super inexpensive at the grocery store, and a pot. And you just put the seeds in. I didn't want to grab a bag, but you just drop the seeds in and fill them about this much. Yeah, see, till it's level, an inch, at the deepest part. Yes, garbanzos, lentil. You can do seeds, nuts, and beans. All
legumes. Do you drop them in the colander? Or do you drop them in the pot?
Yes, you put whatever you're sprouting in the colander, not water. You never put anything in water because, again, we're concerned about condensation and mold. So you don't want to drop it in the water, right? And the water will get all greasy because as we may know, that legumes have something on them that are bad for the digestive system of humans. It causes brine. Yes, and all disease comes from inflammation and digestive issues. Yes, but when you soak them, like my grandmother's, right? When you soak them, you're removing that enzyme that's around the shell that gives you the digestive problems. So you have no digestive problems when you either soak or sprout. So the first day, like I tell the preschoolers, you fill the pot up this high, like 3/4 of the way. Yes, well, as high as you have to do it so that when you drop the colander in, the beans, seeds, or nuts are taking a bath. They're covered with water. You soak them. You only soak the first day. The ideal duration for sprouting is, including the soak, is 4 to 5 days, depending on how long you want the tails to be. Like, it's amazing. You can use garbanzos instead of pasta in, like, yes, with pasta sauce and gravy and meatballs, and yes, to make Italian food. Yes, you can use sprouted rice is so delicious. It tastes like rice pudding just by boiling it. So you soak the first day, you give it a bath the next morning. Yes, it's so fun to do with children. You take the colander out, you shake out the whatever you're sprouting, right? You dump the water. I repurpose the water and dump it on my plants that need to be watered. I don't waste any water or anything. Yes. And then you rinse your sprouts. The second day is when you start to rinse. And what I tell the kids in preschool is that the same way you brush your teeth in the morning and you brush your teeth at night before you go to bed, you rinse your sprouts once a day in the morning, twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. You shower them off. The first day is a bath, and the next 4 days or 3 or 4 days, you're giving it a shower, brushing your teeth. You're doing it twice a day in the morning and at night. Yes. And by the end of the 4th day, yes. And I did do a video. I've done 3 videos with Neela, 2 on my own with Neela, and 1 that Randall and I did that I highly recommend people look for in Neela's archives. It's called Growing from Scraps. That Randall and I did. That was brilliant.
Right.
Talking about
that was a heck of a show. And that's where
Yes.
And and no offense to you, Lisa, I just had to get the show. It was just too sporadic, but we ain't gonna go there.
Yeah.
The point I wanted to bring in today was the life, securing life off the grid. And because you live off the grid, but those of us that don't live off the grid in inner cities, the main thing was about trying to sustain life at little to no cost. So that people can understand when it comes time, and we know history repeats itself.
Yes.
There has been times when we have gone and people have starved, and all they got was a bag of grits, and all they could do was eat hominy. Let me go back, not even grits, hominy, and eat hominy, and that had to feed a whole family of however many. And it's been times where people have struggled. And right now, a lot of people are struggling with food. The cost of it is excruciatingly high. It's ridiculous.
And it really don't have no nutrient content to a lot of this stuff.
So that's the key, is you can go and you can find, it's like, how do they call it? Like a supplier, like the person I go to, I found a supplier of restaurants, like Neela knows restaurant people too. You can go online or just go in your neighborhood, and there's always a dry goods supplier, and a 25-pound bag of 100% organic, non-GMO, like garbanzos, costs like $50. And if it makes 250 pounds of food, that's enough food for like a whole year for several people. Yes. Right. And there's many different recipes. Like I make sprouted hummus. I make like chichis and beans, which is a Italian recipe with garbanzos. You can make a ton of different things. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so it's super economical. Like right now I was on food stamps for a part of this, right? Because I've been furloughed. It'll be 3 years in March or something. I can't even remember. I just went off food stamps. Yes. Even though I still need help, and you can't even use the food stamps to go and buy the bulk goods, but you can buy boxes in the grocery stores of lentils and garbanzos and everything, and at least use the government. Yes, but the government makes it as hard as possible for us to find sustainable, economical, and nutritious and delicious sources of nutrition to keep ourselves healthful. It's not just the government. It's like the Rockefeller Foundation and the whole concept of going from naturopaths to allopathic medicine. Because allopathic medicine is about treating the disease, but naturopathic medicine and sprouting and permaculture is about being in alignment and being well and not needing
healing.
Yes. And right now, all of us need to do whatever we can to stay away, from the medical institutions at all costs. Yes.
At all costs. Yes. And that's one of the reasons I do. And like my King and Water has been incorporated in my household.
Yes.
Just eating and living a vegan, vegetables and fruits and all, plant-based lifestyle.
Yes, for breakfast you can have chia, and it's pretty inexpensive. And all you do is put a little oat milk or almond milk, and you can make your own oat milk and almond milk. You can
I
see
make
how
my own almond
Now-
milk. I made it the other day, and it's so creamy. I don't even buy it in the store anymore. I make don't take nothing to make it.
Yes,
Lisa,
I make my own almond
when
milk.
you're doing the seeds, when you're doing sprouting nuts, explain to us how you start sprouting nuts.
They're all the same. Everything's the same. Every single thing.
Okay, but long as they're not dry roasted, they have to be raw nuts.
Yes, everything has to be raw. And people, just so you know, it's very scary because at one point,
can plant us peanuts and think you gonna sprout them.
No,
you have to buy raw.
No, it has to be 100. Well, you can do GMO, and you can even do, not 100% organic. It costs less money. It's $25 for a 25-pound bag instead of 50.
No, I just wanted them to know that you can't use, you could take a dry bean, but it ain't dry roasted. You can't use nothing that's been heated.
But here's the scarier thing, you guys. At one point, like when Randall and I did the show about scraps, prior to that show, I was taking garlic and growing garlic from garlic cloves I purchased and all this stuff. And at one point, I was doing potatoes and I was trying to plant yams. And then I found out you have to make sure a lot of our food before we get it is irradiated.
Yeah, to kill bacteria.
Yes, and if it's irradiated, it cannot.
It's not going to grow.
They're basically killing all the nutrients. So you have to make sure that you're going to a reliable source that is not fibbing, misleading with their labeling. Yes, ideally, yes. And it says that it is, raw and natural, at least natural. Because legally in the United States, after having my cottage food operation, it was super eye-opening that you can't say 100% natural, which is what I say for my dry goods products and my Sproutables, but you can say organic, even if it's only 70% organic. So someone could have 30%, like if this is 100%, 70% is this much and 30% is this much. So this much of whatever you're eating could be GMO'd or could be non-organic. And they could still say organic on the label. So that would be a whole other thing I would recommend at some point is doing a whole show about labeling.
And let's keep it real. She's speaking about this, people. And this is where I wanted the show to go with today, period. Thank God. She's speaking about this. And my intent is to let you know that, like she said, you can label organic on you can have an organic label and only be 70% organic or whatever. But also, only in America do they allow that anyway. The lies on the label. You don't get that in Europe.
Mexico just outlawed all GMO foods.
See? Only in America, y'all.
Canada has outlawed all GMO foods.
Yes,
and you can't in the schools in the city buildings in Canada, they use Shackley products, which are organic. That's for cleaning. A lot of people think, get the bleach. That bleach is killing you.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something else. And we're gonna let Lisa finish. Another thing too, like you saying, Shackley, in Japan, all of their hospitals have Kangen water. The water I've been telling y'all about, that you can drink a whole bottle of it and don't fill your belly up like regular water. All of their hospitals have Kangen water running through them. They do not use regular water. Listen. Only in America, y'all, is we getting killed with the food that we're eating.
Water.
Yes, but water is a whole other conversation.
Killed with the food that we eating? Of course we are. We've been doing this for years. They've been allowing all this stuff, just like the food pyramid. It was such a big lie. That food pyramid was killing people.
Yes. And there's no coincidence. Two things is there's no coincidence that now the CCP, the Chinese Communist, country, China and Bill Gates are the largest landowners of farmland in the entire United States of America. And they're trying to convince all of us to eat Beyond Beef and all this stuff when Ted Turner owns huge ranches.
Buffalo.
And all the wealthy people are eating the best protein on earth, which is like grass-fed, free-range bison and Wagyu beef. Yes. So just
Ted Turner got restaurants.
Yes, yes. And just to combat that, I have to say that you need to know that rabbit is the best protein and the highest protein you can eat on earth. And I am currently learning how to catch my own rabbits on my land and skin them and butcher them. Because when the S hits the fan, yes, I also wanted to let your viewers know if it does get to that point, and I think I sent Randall the audio podcast of a world-renowned permaculturist that I'm friends with out of New York that's going to come here and hopefully do a permaculture design course. Well, I will become certified finally instead of just practicing. He just did a podcast, and I'll send it to, I sent it to you, Neela, as well, where he talks about colonialization and how, yes, and how the first thing they did is they screw with the food supply, similar to how the British screwed with the Irish people and caused the potato famine. And that before, like, colonialization, in some places, there was only like one famine every 100 years. And as soon as the British Empire took over, there were 30 famines a year in the same locations, where in previously, when almost like the Marooners, people knew how to grow their own food and sustain themselves, they had one famine every 100 years, and then went to a famine, 30 famines every year. And then also, I'd like to tell people, we eat too much. Yes, the biggest thing with this COVID thing, yes, pandemic, bioweapon, really, yes, it was. I've had it. I've had the variant, whatever. I've had it all. Yes, the bottom line is, it is dangerous if you're not in good health, like obese, is 30 pounds overweight. In Latina community especially too, obesity and diabetes is a huge thing. Yes, so the reality is, people, that we've been convinced, to be like factory workers, to be almost like they want to turn us now into cyborgs, to eat at like breakfast, to eat lunch, to eat dinner. Like, yes, I practice intermittent fasting. I encourage everyone to take a look at that. I also practice ketogenics. But the reality is that the rule of threes, because I teach permaculture as well as disaster preparedness. Yes, because like I said, I had no money. I cashed out on my retirement. There was no help for me when I had breast cancer and was getting my 40 radiation treatments. So I decided to research all these things and change my life. And I didn't go to a grocery store for 3 years. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
The rule of three is 3 minutes without air in case of a dire natural, or any, like having breast cancer was an emergency. COVID, yes, it was a disaster. COVID is a planetary disaster, a collective trauma. 3 minutes without air, yes. 3 hours without shelter. That could be blankets in your car, like Neela shoveling her snow. Like, what do you do if you're in the middle of somewhere at night and there's no one around and there's a snowfall and your battery goes out or your car dies and your phone's dead and you can't get a hold of AAA, or going to freeze to death? So 3 hours for you and your children with blankets and things, jackets and everything, hats and whatever you need for your location to have shelter. Yes. And then 3 days without water. That's what causes zombies, is dehydration. If you have water for 3 days, any hydration. So you could maybe, like we were talking about how important water is, and that's a whole other show, right?
Yes.
Especially keeping your water in copper, which I'm going to be doing a live on Facebook about. Yes, but the bottom line is that water is all life, right? Our bodies are 90% water. Water is the best conductor of electricity, conducer of electricity, and we are electric beings. Like my friend wrote a book, Electric Jesus, since we're made in God's image. We're just electrons, protons, and neutrons in this vessel. And if water is the best hydrator, yes, and conductor of electricity, that gives us more power. Like before these ayahuasca ceremonies and everything, the biggest part of the dieta, working up to it and even during, is drinking tons of water to make sure that you're receptive, right? You're receptive. So if you don't have water for 3 days, you either die, and I'm saying, like, if you eat melon, there's hydration in melon, right?
If you have soup,
yes, if you have a bowl of soup, of course you're getting hydration that way. But I mean, no water, like naked and afraid kind of thing. You know what I mean? In the middle of nowhere. Yes, or they turn off our water. And yes, in my vision of the future, yes, every single water feature fountain that exists is potable water. And we are not flushing our toilets with drinkable water. That's why most of the world hates us as Americans. Yes. Yes, and there's food, like I sent to Neela and Randall. There's no such thing as grass, like wasting our water. Do you know that the United States in terms of our lawns, Randall will understand this, in terms of like lighting on the lawns, yes, and watering our lawns and the labor for planting and mowing, gasoline and everything. For the amount of money that the Americans spend in 1 year to maintain non-indigenous lawns, ornamental lawns, and trees that don't give food, we could feed the whole world over for 26 years.
Let me go in the comments real quick. Because I am going to have to cut off of here. I got an appointment and I didn't realize it's 10 o'clock already. Yes. She said, Daybreak said, I need to learn gardening for sure. I love potatoes. And Rochelle said, hey, Lisa. And God bless. Hey, Jonathan, I want to say hi to you. She said, me too. Edith Rogers commented when you were talking about intermittent fasting. And she said, yes, me too. I do that fasting as well. And because intermittent fasting, before we go into that real quick, let me say hi to Biz Network. Hey, Biz Network. She said, at this point, we all need to own our own gardens. We all need our own gardens. That's what Biz said. And Busy Mama said, I am trying, Biz Network. Biz Network says, very good, Busy, keep it up. Busy Mama said, you dehydrate your body so cells die essentially. And Busy's a nurse, so she's in the field. Busy said, I'm still trying with these darn avocados, Biz Network. But I want to go into intermittent fasting real briefly, and I got to get off of here because
Can I just finish the last third thing? The last third thing is really important. So going to the third threes, right? It's air, shelter, water, I guess it's 4, and food that the human being only needs to eat once every 3 weeks. Did you know that? That we can live without food for 3 weeks. There are people on earth that are called breatharians and they don't even eat. You can Google it.
Yeah, and then especially in Jamaica. That's huge in Jamaica.
And also Thailand. Yes, and Thailand as well.
There's a group of them that practice it though, Turk, on the north side. So I have heard about it. Yep, it's a group of them. The people you're talking about, breatharians, I think it's a little clubhouse of them over. It's like on Clark Street, way up north by Devon. But they practice that.
Super beautiful people. And so I just want to respond to some of the comments. Potatoes, we would teach at the preschool. You can just buy a barrel. Yes, like an old, like a plant, like a wine barrel, half a wine barrel. And you could just plant. You should watch the video that I was saying that Randall and I did with Neela about planting scraps. The potatoes are discussed in there, but you can grow your own potatoes, yams, and sweet potatoes in that. And then I think it was Busy or anyone else. I sent a video to Neela. That's my video about sprouting. And sprouting is the least expensive, like most cost effective way to grow your own food, whether it's non-GMO or 100% organic or not. Yes, with little water. Yes, in case of an emergency as well. And 0 sunlight. You don't even need sun exposure, and you don't need earth. Yes, and also the benefit of it is like me with all of us, right, with inflation and the war against gas. Like right now, in the last year, a gallon of gas in California went from $2.35 to $7.60. Okay, it's $7.60 a gallon here. Yes, so when you sprout also, for me to boil a pot of hard garbanzos would take like over an hour of propane, which is very expensive right now. It's over like $6. And for you to boil after sprouting, everything soaking for the 1 day and like sprouting for 3 more days at least, it takes 10 minutes worth of fuel.
And you know what? Dr. Sabi said you shouldn't cook your vegetables more than 7 minutes or else you cook all of the nutritional value out of them anyway.
Yes, and you shouldn't boil any of your vegetables. You should steam everything for a certain amount of seconds. Yes, and you should soak all your nuts. Like if you're eating cashews or especially almonds, you should soak the nuts because they're easier to digest and that's better for your system.
Yeah, and that's also, it's funny you said that because that's what you do. You have to soak your nuts when you're making almond milk. And whatever other milks you're making, you soak the nuts. I normally soak mine overnight.
Yes, it's super easy. And then just to finish, and then Neela will do the keto, is 2 last things. You don't need property. Please, if I can post it on here after the fact, but I think after the show, they don't let anybody post. But again, In Grave Danger of Falling Food by Bill Mollison is the demonstration of growing food, showing you exactly how to do it on a 3 foot deep by 6 foot wide balcony on an apartment. And also, we can always do another show. Maybe it'll be when Randall finally gets his butt here. You can build. I teach people, or I could do a demonstration how to build, and I was doing it at preschools and people's houses, how to build a 5-foot diameter herb spiral, and you can build it on asphalt. You can grow food, and a 5-foot diameter herb spiral will produce enough food for 3 people for a year or more, as long as you take care of it. So I'd be happy to share.
I've got a question. Busy Mama say, what about soup? Can you make soup with sprouts?
Yes. Are you kidding me? That's one of my signature dishes that I'll be making for our first thing. I have a Sproutable Soup, Crossbow Ranch Sproutable Soup mix, and it's garbanzos, lentils, and black beans. And I use, after I sprout them, I put them in a pot with triple filtered water. It's always better to sprout and rinse with filtered water. I found out when I was soaking and rinsing my sprouts with just tap water, they were getting rotten and and mold was coming really quick. Yes. And then once I started doing double and triple filtered water, the sprouts would last like weeks, because if you don't use all the sprouts you sprout, you can leave them in the jar. You never cover the jar. You can put them in a mason jar and never cover the jar with a cap, of course, because that causes condensation and the mold and rot. But you can put them in a refrigerator and they last and keep growing for weeks. And the way you
refrigerator.
Yes, in the refrigerator. And the way you can tell if they're bad is if you smell them. But I have had sprouts continue growing like plants growing in my refrigerator for 3 weeks.
Wow.
I had them grow. I have a sprouted plant right now from turmeric that's in the dirt. I have it in my kitchen window, and it just grows leaves all the time. They die off, and another one all of a sudden out of nowhere starts sprouting up again, but growing. And I'm like, this thing's still producing plant, and it's still producing plant, and it's really wigging me out, because it's like the leaves will grow up out the little pot, and they'll die, after a while. But then here comes another one, weeks later, it comes another little green thing popping up out of there. But to sprouting, Lisa, I really want to go into a sprouting show one day with the start. I want to do the sprouting. I want to have people, I want to have them ahead of time to know what they need to bring with themselves or in their house to the show while they're watching the show, to go through the sprout start process. And
I would love that.
Yeah.
So everyone will just need a pot and a colander that fits right inside, and then to pick their favorite sproutable, I would highly recommend sunflowers, raw again, sunflower seeds, garbanzos, lentils, black beans, or even rice. Yes.
What about red beans? Can you do red beans and pintos? You could do any dried bean.
Any bean. Yes, any bean.
Any dried bean, huh?
Any bean. Yes. And then I think it was Busy or someone asked about avocado seeds, and my grandpa was amazing. 2 things about avocado seeds. First of all, the avocado seed is where all the nutrients are in the avocado. So I actually save my avocado seeds and I peel them and dry them and I put them in a coffee grinder and I drop the powder from the avocado on all my salads and even put it in my protein shakes. So nothing goes to waste. Yes. And then you can take the seed from the avocado like my Puerto Rican grandpa used to. Yes. And you could stick toothpicks or pins in 4 sides of it and just put water in a mason jar all the way filled up and just let like a quarter of the seed float, like almost like Frankenstein with the bolts in his neck, so that only a quarter of the avocado seed like touches the water, is submerged, and then you will have the start of an avocado tree.
Yep.
Yes.
It takes how long to grow?
Once the roots get over 2 to 3 inches, you can put it in soil.
Yes, and
but
Neil,
I would suggest let it get root bound in the glass and then plant it, because it'll be stronger.
So, and Neil, when you say how long is it going to take to grow, it's not for us. It's a legacy to leave our children. Like I have a mulberry bush over here that's not going to, yes, it's so small. Yes, a pony that was here visiting ate it, and it's going to take 70 years. But you know what? In 70 years, my son's children and grandchildren are going to be here.
It takes 70 years to grow an avocado plant.
No, the mulberry bush, to grow a mulberry tree, the full, yes, the full.
Mulberries grow fast too. The trees.
An avocado. What do you think, Turk? An avocado from seed.
An avocado from seed to be able to harvest, it should be like 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, 2 to 3 years.
I heard it was 3 years though.
It's the gestation period. You probably won't get anything the first or second. Some is how well you take care of it and where it's planted. If it's getting 12 hours of sun a day, it'll probably fruit within the end of the second year. But the third year, for sure, it's gonna have some fruit.
And then just like Bill Mollison teaching about planting on the decks or patios of apartments or houses, if you have these things in containers, it's almost like, I mean, like this, I think you can see it, that aloe right there. I mean, I've taken that from 4 different houses. It's been with me for 30 years.
Yeah.
Busy Mama said I had caterpillars or worms come and ate my whole cucumber plant right before it bloomed.
I can tell you how to fix that.
Me too.
Yes, we did it on another show. You just put aluminum pie tins and fill them with beer, and the caterpillars go into the aluminum pie tins to drink the beer, and they get drunk and die.
Yep. And another way to do it is diatomaceous earth, and it's natural too. It's just crushed oyster shells.
Yes, or neem.
Or neem oil. Yeah, that's organic. Actually, they have forms of neem that you can take that's good for you. But the diatomaceous earth, they also have that where you can intake it as a human that scrapes your intestines, cuts all of them parasites in there and kills them and flushes them out your body.
And that is therefore people with the diatomaceous earth, you have the food grade and the non-food grade.
And the same with the neem oil, food grade and then non-food grade.
And make sure you know what you're getting. And just so you know, Turk, I think the food grade works just as good for the worms as well, too, right?
It will.
Let's just get whatever's less expensive.
Use the neem oil yourself when you need it. That you're getting better, more uses out of it. Instead of that. Everybody, it's been a blast. I got to get out of here. I got somebody waiting for me right now that done text me 3 times. I got to get into a meeting. And I just want to let you guys know, go back to the show. Lisa, thank you. We're all good to you. You know, we love you, Lisa, no matter what.
Yes, I love you too.
I didn't want my show going that direction today. I just didn't want to go in that way. And I wanted the love and the light to show. And that's why I put it in the comments and the description. It was all about permaculture and all that. But it would be a great thing to come back and hear the story of the Italian and the Spanish, the Puerto Rican background and how you come about. Today just was not the day today. I just wouldn't say it. And also thank you for the lessons in the sprouting. That's an industry. That's something
that's life-saving information.
Yes, it is. And people are bankrupt. And I don't mean financially. I mean physically, spiritually,
mentally,
emotionally, mentally, and with food. I mean, it's just so much going on.
Nutritionally bankrupt.
Nutritionally, yes. Thank you, Turk. Nutritionally bankrupt. And this has been a show, this part of the show, to teach people about sprouting, to teach people about survival, a method of survival is another thing, because people, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Check your stock. Check everything, because there is going to be times that the stock is going down. The stock is dropping significantly because of the inflation that they got going on now. So watch what you're doing. Watch what's going on with your stuff. Also, prepare yourself, because you don't know how this world is going to go. Prepare yourself. And you don't know how long you still have on this planet. You know, don't think just because I'm in my 60s or I'm seen most of my days. You don't know that. None of us know that. Or if you're in your 50s, you don't know that. None of us know that. We don't know if we got another 40 or 50 years on this earth or not. And to live spryly is something that I choose to do. I don't know about nobody else. I don't want to be where someone's constantly taking care of me, feeding me, and all of that. I want to be able to live in spry. You know, I want to be able to move and motionable.
And go to the bathroom by yourself and wipe your own butt.
Darn right. I'm right. I go to the bathroom by myself without the help of a forced motion or water or whatever, or a bag. I want to live like that. I'm sorry, but I do. And it takes work to do that. And eating healthy, drinking good water, eating healthy, and all of that, exercising, taking moments away from technology. Especially if you're like me and in front of this stuff all day, you got to get away from it. And I was calling myself having this moment to get away from it, but I can't because I got to get right back into it.
Yep.
Yeah, don't worry about it. She tell her laptop died. Lisa's laptop died, y'all. That's why she went out. I thought something was funny because it froze.
Yeah, and both of them went out at the same time, and it don't work like that.
Right. And so I just want everybody to have some information on survival and life and the pursuit of growing. Just doing better and good things, wholesome things. She said, awesome info. So basically, no excuse, just garden. That's it. That's it, Biz. That's it. She said, oh, ground up avocado seeds. Cool. Yes. You can use your avocado seeds. There's a lot of uses for avocado seed. You ought to go and Google it. It's amazing. Onions and garden to go with potatoes. Yes, I agree with you.
Daybreak must be hungry, y'all. She got French fries in the comments. Potatoes. She wants some other potatoes and onions.
We like potatoes, okay? She been saying it all through the comment. I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but she said, I tried years ago with the seed, but I will keep trying. Persistence is key because I want the tree. Busy Mama says,
it's easy. Call me, Busy Mama. Inbox me. I'll show you.
He'll show you. He got you. Look, everybody remember this. Reach back and give back. Somebody out there does need your smile. Somebody needs to hear some kind words. I'm so sick of this damn dissension of this racism. I'm just so sick of it. I'm fed up. I've had enough. And I think a lot of people have. I'm watching these mothers online and Amir Locke and all of them. And this woman sang her heart out. And she had such a voice, a spirit moving voice. And the Black mothers are crying out. We're sick and tired. Nobody has to go around and tell their sons to be careful out here in this world with all this bullshit going on. Not only do they have to be careful when they're approached by white cops, but they have to be careful when they walk down their own damn streets from their own selves. It's just sad. And I'm tired as a mother. I have a daughter, and this shit is going on with women and men. It ain't like anybody's exempt. I'm sick and tired of racism. I'm sick and tired of hate. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Y'all just don't know. I've had enough. The jail system, they got all these men jailed up all these years. Innocent men, all of them Black. This shit is crazy. And it's perpetuating. It's still perpetuating all these years later. And you think, and people, a lot of them like, we're with you, but they really don't understand the fucking pain we go through. Excuse my French, that we go through every damn day. We have to live on this earth to deal with this BS. And it's sad. It's sad. It's time we stop this shit and get and share this. I don't care if it is cursing on here. Share it. Somebody need to hear it. And they need to hear the cursing and everything. It's time to get our butts together and stop this bullshit. Really. I've had enough. I've had enough of it. It's crazy. And yeah, we got to stay alert and aware to all the games that's being played out here, because there's a lot of games being played. Keep your eyes open. They're playing games with people's money. They're playing games with people's health. They're playing games with people's finances. They're playing games with people's jobs. They're playing games with every damn thing. They're playing games with your mind. It's ridiculous. And it's hateful. And it's evil. And it's lurking everywhere. And we got to tie that damn stuff up and toss it in a lake of fire and brimstone. It's high time.
Amen.
God.
Amen, cussing pastor. God. I feel you.
God. God.
Yes, Lord.
God. Come on now. We tired of this. We fed up. Not only with the racism, but we also fed up with each other when it comes to all this killing among Blacks and Blacks, all this stupidity. I'm just fed up with it. And in that, I'm going to say peace on earth to everybody. God loves you. I know he loves you. He loves me. He loves all of us. And it's sick. Stop being so hateful. Stop being so selfish. Share. Work with each other. Support each other. Talk to these young boys. They need somebody to talk to them. They out here running wild, killing each other. Hell, we don't need to be doing that with all the police that's killing us. We ain't got to be killing our damn selves.
T, before we get off of here.
Yeah.
Busy Mama said, emotions run high when you're passionate about things, but conversations are needed and they have to happen to understand each other. We are more alike than we are different.
And I understand that.
Word.
You're right. You definitely right. You're right. The conversation needs to happen. And it needs to happen in a more congenial, more calm tone.
Yes.
Really, yep. It really does. This is not about competition. There ain't nobody in competition with me. Ain't nobody in competition with us. This ain't no competition. This is about learning to understand, to learn. That's what it's all about. You know, and for some reason, we all understand everybody's plight. It's the plight against ourselves right now. We really need to understand.
It's the plight on humans. It's really, you know, it's everybody is in the crosshair now.
Everybody's in it. Asians, blacks, whites, and all. Some are suffering more than others. And it's sad. And it needs to stop. And
my scalp is itching. I need to wash and
condition. And everybody, I gotta go. I got somebody, they've been so patiently. Look, God bless y'all. Have a great rest of y'all day. We'll see you tomorrow on In My Element with Neela and Turk. And we're gonna have Lisa come back. We're gonna do a whole sprouting thing. It won't be this week. We're gonna have her come back to do a whole sprouting thing. It'll probably be next week because I want to have all my stuff. So I can do it too. Okay. I want my pot, my colander, and everything. Oh, here she is. Her computer died. Lisa, thank you so much for the information. It was awesome. It was awesome. Neela gonna be my vice president. Look, we got Busy Mama say I'm gonna be her vice president. Look, I need to be the president too. Look, I know some of these fools upside their head in Congress, but everybody just know that we will be bringing more. We're gonna do a whole sprout thing one day on the show, and I want everybody to get all that stuff. So, Lisa, once again, tell people what they're gonna need. That way, they can get it ahead of time, and they'll just have it.
Just a pot, and I'm inside now because my computer died, but a pot and a colander.
Or a strain.
This is my little version. This is my single shot sprout, a pot and a colander that fits in the pot.
Right.
And some seeds.
Does the colander have to fit? Does the colander have to fit?
The colander has to fit like this. It has to fit in. You know how there's pots that are made like that to make pasta in? Those are the best pots where they have the colander that are for draining the pasta or steaming vegetables while you're cooking underneath. You get one of those and you're set to sprout the rest of your life.
No, so what I'm gonna ask you is, I don't have one of them fancy pots yet, but
it's super expensive. You can get them at at Target.
It has to be able to suspend on top of the pot, T.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but
because it's not gonna soak in the water after the first day. After the first day, you're just gonna bathe it twice a day with a shower.
But what were you saying, Neela?
But does the colander have to fit to the bottom of the pot?
No, not necessarily to the bottom, just in it. Just in it. So it's just in it. So it's secure. Yes. And then I would highly recommend that the In My Element family, when we do it, that people get whatever your favorite is. If you like hummus, get garbanzos. If you like lentils, we can make a lentil salad, sprouted lentil salad. So get lentils. If you like black beans or any kind of bean, just get that kind of bean and we'll sprout it. And I highly recommend rice and sunflower seeds. Those are all my favorite.
Now, what kind of rice you have to get? You get
any kind of rice, as long as you make sure that it's a raw rice. It hasn't been bleached. Yes, it's not a bleached rice.
That's the information we needed.
Because white rice is bleached.
Yeah.
Yes, but some of it's not. You can buy it when it's not. Raw rice.
Yeah, you'd have to go to food places.
Whole Foods. Yeah, Sprouts. Somebody got it.
Sprouts, Whole Foods.
Brown rice, red rice, black rice.
Any rice, jasmine rice, basmati rice. Basmati rice is super We're delicious.
I like black rice. Black rice is really a good tasting rice. I love
I
it.
like the wild rice. That wild rice is good.
That's the black rice too. It's got a lot of that black rice in
like
it.
rice aron. It's
God
like
bless y'all. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thanks for coming back. I saw your message about your power went out. It does that. Mine is going out too because I ain't got it plugged up. But God bless everybody. Remember to reach back and give back. Somebody does need to have a kind words, a prayer, a sandwich, a bottle of water, something. Maybe a few dollars. Don't worry about it. The Spirit puts it on your heart to give it up. Give it up. Remember, God loves you. God loves me. God loves all of us. And just learn to love ourselves so we can love each other. End of story. And also, in the story. And also, you know what? Love, peace, soul, and hair grease on this Black History Month day. I just gotta say, if your scalp is itching, go wash.
I'm gonna go wash and condition.
Reach back.
Bye, Lisa. Have a great
Love
rest of your
y'all.
day. Everybody have a great day.
Peace.
I think.
Bingo.